Mission Snapshot. Today I have Veronica here with me in the studio, and we are going to be talking about our evening schools. And Hannah is here monitoring the comments down below. So if you have questions or comments, please leave them there. And also she'll be adding links to various things that we're talking about during the show. So keep an eye out on her posting as well. So thank you, Veronica, for being here. And I turn the time over to you because I know you have some way cool stuff to share with us, and I can't wait for it.
We do have some very cool information to share today. So we're going to be talking mainly about our evening schools. Right. And so I wanted to share a little bit about what an evening school is and what they're there for. So an evening school is set up in different villages to help the kids of the village get extra tutoring and education help. So primarily they're there to help with school studies. So in the evenings, the kids would come to the local evening school, which is held in a church or a house, and they get help with their studies. But on top of that, the teachers who are there also help teach them about Jesus and teach them Bible verses. They teach them how to pray. They teach them songs. And another thing that we're able to do through evening schools is provide a meal for these children. So in these villages, a lot of the people there are what we consider daily laborers. And so the families are very poor. They can only afford maybe one good meal a day. And so the kids rely on their public school and then also this evening school to help provide some of the food that they need, because obviously we really need more than one meal a day. So the evening schools provide a very good healthy dinner for the kids. So 6 days a week they're able to get a good meal, hopefully a second good meal.
Yeah, so you mentioned that they go 6 days a week. Which nights do they go?
So they attend Sunday night through Friday night.
And so what do they do on Friday nights? Because their Friday nights are different, I understand, from what they do throughout the week. Do they do their regular schooling on Friday night, or do they have a special program, or what do they do?
So on Friday night, things are a little different, and they try and not do as much of the regular schooling because it is held usually at the Adventist church, and so we want to encourage them to understand that that is a special night in the coming of the Sabbath, and so they participate in more of just Bible memorization and songs and learning more about Jesus on those nights.
That's cool. I'm glad that they're able to do that. And the children that go to the evening schools, are they already Christian? Do they come from Hindu backgrounds?
Most of the kids come from a Hindu background and don't know anything about Jesus or Christianity when they start going to the evening schools.
Right. But they do learn about them, as you said.
They do, yes.
And a lot of your stories are about the children who learn about Jesus. And I know from my experience in dealing with children in schools like this, that the impact is not only on the child, but the impact is on the family and also on neighbors, because they'll listen and hear. And so when you are working with a child like this, you can impact, up to 15, 20 people through that one child, just based on the people around them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of influence that these kids have as they go out and they tell, as kids normally do. If you learn something new, your kid comes to you, Mommy, Daddy, look what I learned,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the evening schools. Yeah. So anything that they're learning there, they're going home and they're telling their parents, this is what we did tonight, this is what we learned, and it just spreads from there.
That's very cool. So if you're interested in learning more about the evening school program, we don't have time to go into too much more detail here. Hannah's going to post a link down below where you can go and read and see some videos about evening schools and learn a lot more. But we want to talk about a specific school today, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so there is a specific school in Bharathy, Nagar, and that village in general has had its share of issues, like a lot of the villages. It's a mainly poor village, and there's not a lot of resources there. And so it actually started with the church. The Adventist church there wanted to build a well.
So why did they want to build a well?
Well, so in that village, the only way that the villagers could get clean water was from the city pump. And that pump was only available with running water 1 day a week. For just a few hours during that day.
Okay. So what's up on the screen, or will be, is a picture of Bharathy Nagar village, and the woman there is washing her clothes right at the spigot. So it's in the spigot for that village is in the main street. And the woman taking the picture is Christina, whom you all have seen on previous episodes of Mission Snapshot. And so this is how they have to do their laundry, is right by that water that comes, you mentioned, once a week.
Once a week. So the city, it's not like our tap water where we just, anytime we need it, day or night, we turn the tap and it's there. This water is only turned on once a week for a short period of time. And so what that means is all of the villagers have to come and fill, and they have a quota. They can only fill so much water. They can't take as much as they want. So during that time, they fill their gallon, 2 gallons, whatever they're allowed. And that water is for drinking, cooking, bathing, washing clothes. That's the only time they have to do that. So it was very hard on the villagers. And as you can imagine, they weren't getting enough water.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine.
You know, that's not enough. So the Adventist church decided, we really want to help. This is a huge need, and that's how we want to help the village. And so they decided to drill a well on their property.
Okay.
Now, in the village, there's actually, they had tried drilling wells before in different areas, and there's actually a Hindu temple basically just across the street from the Adventist church, and they had tried as well. So very close proximity. You would think if there's water there, something that close, they would have found it already.
Right.
They did not.
Oh.
So the Adventist church, as they were drilling, the villagers kept coming and telling them, what are you doing? This is hopeless. You're not going to find water. We've tried. It's not going to work. We've said our prayers to our gods. There's no water here. But the Adventist church did not give up. And, our people said, God is going to provide water. And so they just kept drilling. And they did have to drill very far down, but they did eventually find a source of water.
Wow.
So it's amazing. And the water is not only there, it's clean, it's fresh, it's just a constant source of fresh water, which is very hard to find in that area.
Right. So what's up on the screen is a picture of the church, and you can see John Wood there manning his drone in the middle of the picture, but the arrow is pointing to where the water spigot is, and then the gray tower with the ladder up is where they store the water.
Right.
So the water is pumped from the well up into the storage tank and then gravity fed down to the spigot, and it's right on the corner of the property. The church villagers have to come in. So what kind of impact has that been on the church and on the villagers?
So it's made a huge impact. So first of all, obviously this water is available to them at any time. So they no longer have to worry about running out of water to drink or cook with or wash their clothes. They can come anytime they want and get water. And because they have to come onto the church property to do it, they might hear things. So people might come when there's a service going on or an evening school. And so as they're filling their water jugs, they're also listening to Bible verses being said or songs or just the care that the teachers have for the children. Even just seeing that is a great influence. So it's actually meant a lot to the villagers, and they've learned that they can come to this church and gain inspiration or ask things of them. They've seen how
that's a real witness that they can come. And I just want to pause here and say, for the people, there's a lot more to this story about the well. And if you want to see more about this, Hannah will drop a link down below, if she hasn't already, to a Jesus for Asia Now show on this project called Clean Water. And it's an interesting story, and it's worth the time to go look at that. And so apologies for the interruption,
that's
but I
okay.
wanted to be able to tell our audience that.
Absolutely. There is a lot more to tell. There's so much going on there, as in all of the villages that we work in. But so moving on a little bit, what they've learned is that the people from this church and the Adventist church like to pray. And they like to pray to God. And not only do they like to pray, but they seem to get answers from their God.
Yeah.
And so some of the students in the evening school learned that as well, and they've learned that last lesson well. And so specifically, there were two girls who attended the evening school, and they came with a request for their regular public school teacher who was sick. She was not doing well and really struggling, and they thought, we need to pray for her. And so they brought that to the evening school and to the teachers and their friends there. And so they began praying for this teacher. And the teacher did not know that they were doing that. It was just, they had that burden on their heart, and they felt like the God of this Adventist church, that he's going to listen and he's going to answer prayers. So they began praying, and their public school teacher got better.
Wow.
And she was no longer struggling like she was before. And so it was a great blessing for the girls, because they specifically saw, wow, our prayers were working. And it, again, was an influence to everyone there, because all of the students were seeing the results from their prayer.
Did they tell their teacher they had prayed for her?
I think they did afterward, yes. And, so again, then it was an influence on her.
Right.
Because she's seeing, wow, this is why I'm feeling better, because of these prayers and the care for these girls for me.
Wow, that is so cool. So the young people come to the evening school. They don't know about Jesus, but they've learned something because of the church praying to get water for the well.
Yes.
And they see God answer that prayer.
Yes.
And so then they're encouraged to go and pray for their teacher. And then the whole school sees that God answers prayer.
Yeah.
And so what happens with the village now?
Well, so like we were saying, these kids, they go and then they tell their parents, hey, this is what happened. Listen to this story. And their parents tell their friends and neighbors. And so basically the whole village understands now, if we have a problem, we need to go ask this church to pray for us.
Wow.
And so they get requests all the time. People come by, they're getting their water, or just to come ask for prayer. And then they see the results, and maybe not every prayer is a miracle answer, but it's still encouraging, and God is working so much in that village to show his presence that they know to come and ask for prayer. So one specific example happened not too long ago. It was very recent, and it actually happened while our team was there on a mission trip.
Yeah.
And they're, visiting with this school and this village. And while they're there, a woman comes into the school, and she's asking, I have horrible news. And she said, I just went to see the doctor. And he says that I only have a few days to live. I am very sick, and I don't know what to do. And so without hesitation, the children surround her in a circle, and well, not me, but they laid hands on her,
Right.
And prayed for her,
Right.
and simply prayed that God, if it was his will, would heal her and give her peace if it wasn't his will. But, they prayed for healing. They knew that God could do that.
So the picture that is up on the screen is an actual picture of the children praying for this lady.
Yes.
This is not a stock photo.
No.
This was taken because I was part of the mission trip that was there, and I got to watch them pray, and it was
Yes.
amazing to see the children without hesitancy. This woman is in need, let's do this.
Yes.
And so that's exactly what they did. But then we had to leave, and we were like asking, what happened to the lady? What happened to the lady?
Yes.
So do you know what happened to the lady?
I do know. We finally got an update, and it was, maybe a month later that we were finally found out, okay, what's happening? So God healed her. It is a complete miracle. She was so sure in what the doctors were telling her, and we have no reason to doubt that she really was at the end of her life. Physically, things were not good.
Right.
But with that prayer, God healed her, and they've actually seen her. This photo is of her walking through the village, holding things. You can't do that if you're really sick and about to die. She is healed. She is still alive today, and it is a miracle from God.
That is so cool. We were happy to hear this. And for those of you watching, this is a picture of her leaving the church. So right behind her is the church that you saw. Right in front of her is the Hindu temple, and the village is off to the left, and she's leaving with water. So she's carrying 2 jugs full of water as evidence that God healed her.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely fabulous. So if people are out there saying, wow, I want to help with these schools because I can see the evidence of what happens when children learn to pray. Yeah. You're working on a program. Mm-hmm. Can you share a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So with our mission trip that just happened in January, we actually opened even more schools. We have a total of 20 evening schools running now in India. And so with that, we're trying to put together some information and kind of keep the sponsorship going for these schools so that more and more kids can be helped. Mm-hmm. And we have information on our website about that. But basically, just like anything, it takes money to run things, especially when we're not just teaching, but we're also trying to feed these children. That is a huge need for them. So, it's not a lot. It's $7 a day per child to
per month.
Per month, excuse me. I'm sorry, $7 a month per child, which is not a lot at all. And it just helps to make sure that these kids are not just getting their physical needs met, but they're learning wonderful spiritual things and learning how God can take care of them more than anything. And the extra educational help it gives them helps them see things in their future that they never would have had before. Many of them without this opportunity, they would just have to go into whatever work their parents were doing. Mm-hmm. And just keep working day to day and only earning enough to feed them for that one day. This added help gives them opportunities to do more, to see more, to have a brighter future. Right. So it's just a wonderful program and definitely something worth investing in.
So you mentioned that it costs $7 per child per month.
Yeah.
And depending upon the number of children that are at a facility, it averages about $400 a month to run an evening school.
Yes.
Because of the number of children there, the food they have to purchase, the salary for the cook, the salary for the teacher, electricity, things like that. And so that's a lot of money perhaps for someone, but do you have ways that groups can sponsor an evening school?
We are trying to put together a program where you can adopt a school, and it's made for groups. So Sabbath school class, Bible study group, Pathfinder group, book club even. I mean, it doesn't have to be a religious group, but anyone who wants to maybe take on a special project and help somebody. So basically it would be a way for you to fundraise each month, come up with different ways of fundraising for it. If it's a Sabbath school, it could just be your Sabbath school offerings going toward that, whatever the amount is. You don't have to say that you're going to give a specific amount. It's just whatever you can fundraise for each month. And we have special flyers and different programs and ideas that we can help you with. If that's something that that you're interested in doing, we'd be happy to help you.
So there is a website, and that's just a screenshot that's up on the screen right now of the page where they can get additional information with videos and things like that. And Hannah, will or has put the link to that page there for people. But if they're interested in finding out more information, is your contact information, or how do they go about getting that information? They go to this website and then what?
So if you go to the website, there should be a contact option to email Jesus for Asia, and that will get to me. And then I'd be happy to reach out via email or however is best, and talk more with people and get more information out there.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing about Bharathy Nagar. It is one of my favorite stories because it's amazing to see children who get introduced to Jesus, learn who Jesus is, trust Jesus, and then become the witness in the village as to who Jesus is and what he can do.
Absolutely.
And the fact that these children have become the prayer warriors of Bharathy Nagar is just amazing. And so I would like to encourage you that if you're interested in helping with an evening school, to go to the link for our evening school page. If you are interested in any other project that Jesus for Asia has, you can go to our website, jesusforasia.org, and take a look at any of the other projects that we've talked about. Bible Workers, Clean Water is a project that's there. And we thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you join us again next Tuesday when we'll be back here at 1 o'clock. This has been your Mission Snapshot.